applause for Mary Hayes and Bunny Lewis.
Good evening and welcome to the 53rd Annual Shad Derby Coronation Ball. I'm Mary Hayes, this is Bunny Lewis, and we'd like to thank you all for joining us tonight. Before we start this evening's program, we would like to acknowledge guests who were past Shad Derby candidates, escorts, Derby chairs, as well as former Shad Derby queens. Many of you continue to be involved in the Windsor community, and we thank you for your service and dedication to the traditions of Shad Derby. Would you please now stand and be recognized? Kathy. As many of you know, the events that we now call the Shad Derby had a very humble beginning. The very first Shad event was a one-day cleanup of the Farmington River to bring awareness to the dwindling shad population and the polluted condition of the Connecticut River and its tributaries. When John Cordillo organized the first Shad Derby fishing tournament, he had hopes to create a lasting tradition in Connecticut's first town. Since then, with continued strong community support, it has grown into an amazing multi-event festival tradition run by volunteers alongside multiple civic organizations here in Windsor.
Each of tonight's candidates has been sponsored by a Windsor organization or business. These young ladies started their journey first at the Shad Derby Gala in March, where they introduced themselves to the judges, as well as family and friends, and were judged on a brief 1-minute speech. The girls were then judged at a private interview night based on the following criteria: involvement in community and school, knowledge of current events, poise, and personality. Tonight is the last time they will be scored, and by the end of the evening, our 53rd Shad Derby Queen will be crowned. We would like to take this opportunity to introduce and thank Sherry Moore, our judge's chair, Timothy Carmen, our auditor, and our 3 judges, Marian Benoit, Tracy Carter, and Jeremy Moore, for their time and dedication this year. After dinner, we will introduce our Mistress of Ceremonies. You will then listen to each of the candidates' speeches. When the judges head out to make their decision, we invite you all to enjoy some mingling and dancing until they return to make the announcement of the 2018 Shad Derby Queen and her court. I would now like to introduce the 2018 Shad Derby Festival Committee chairs, Kristen Hoffman and Anthony Neary.
Whew.
Well, they put the ice, so it's good.
Thank God. All right. Thank you, Mary and Bunny. Good evening, everyone. Okay, Kristen and I are pleased and honored to be your 2018 Shad Derby Festival chairs. It is a privilege to share the stage tonight with these accomplished young women.
Good evening. As we honor the beloved traditions of the Windsor Shad Derby with the 53rd Coronation Ball tonight, let us all take a moment of silence to recognize and remember a past Shad Derby committee member chair, town council member, and former Windsor mayor, Mary Drost, who recently passed away. Thank you.
The Shad Derby is Windsor's finest tradition, run by all volunteers through 16 different civic and service organizations and supported by local businesses since 1955. This year marks the 53rd celebration of the Coronation Ball, Parade, and Festival on the Green, and 64 years since the first Shad Derby fishing tournament. The 16 organizations are Exchange Club of Windsor, Rotary Club of Windsor, Windsor Locks, East Granby, Town of Windsor Recreation and Leisure Services, Washington Lodge, number 70, AF and AM, Windsor Arts Center, Windsor Chamber of Commerce, Windsor Civitan, Windsor Historical Society, Windsor JCs, Windsor Jesters, Windsor Junior Women's Club, Windsor Kiwanis Club, Windsor Lions Club, Windsor Rod and Gun Club, and Windsor Women's Club and Win TV.
The 2018 Shad Derby would not be possible without the generous donations of all sponsors, especially our title and gold sponsors: Back East Brewery, Konica Minolta, Mitchell Seelig Ford, Windsor Federal Savings. Thank you. And of course, this night would not be possible without our Queen's candidate sponsors: Ashley's Distinctive Jewelry and Gifts, Dom's Broad Street Eatery, Exchange Club of Windsor, Geisler Supermarket, Hairdresser on Fire, Menchie's Frozen Yogurt, Nightmare Acres, Noon's Quality Plumbing and Heating, PC Development, Rice Hardware, Tunxus Grill, Union Street Tavern, Valari's Martial Arts Center, the Windsor JCs, the Windsor Lions Club. Thank you so much. We extend a huge thank you to these businesses and civic groups who have generously sponsored Queen candidates, and to the countless others who purchased ads in the Coronation Ball program this evening. We sincerely appreciate your continued support and dedication to the traditions and integrity of the Shad Derby. We are pleased to announce Back East Brewery's Shad Derby Pale Ale is now being brewed with Windsor's Thrall Family Farm hops locally, so the entire process is local in Windsor. Please be sure to patronize these local donors and support Back East and the Shad Derby Pale Ale in the Beer Garden on May 19th, Derby Day. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the Windsor Junior Women's Club for once again hosting the Coronation Ball. Many do not know what a process and an immense undertaking it is to coordinate this evening's event. It is truly a labor of love. We would like to extend a big thank you especially to Mary DeHaze and Bunny Lewis. And of course, tonight would not be possible without their team of Mary Zielinski, Wendy Sanders, Patty Mason, and Lisa McCarthy for making this evening spectacular. We also would like to thank the members of the Queen's Committee for their work in preparing the candidates for all the events, especially tonight's ball. They are truly a dream team. Thank you to Celeste Over, Leanna Jorgensen, Tracy Peterson, Emily Thompson, and Lauren Laszlo. Thank you.
For over 53 years, the Windsor Shad Derby has honored Windsor's very best with the deserving distinction of Shad Derby Parade Grand Marshal. The Windsor JCs and the Shad Fest Bureau are pleased to announce the 2018 Shad Derby Parade Grand Marshal is Dr. Robert Ganji.
Dr. Ganji has devoted much of his free time to serving the community. He has had the privilege of serving as director and president of the Windsor JCs, through which he has received many honors. This includes JC of the Year, the Key Man Certificate in recognition, one of the 5 outstanding JCs in Connecticut for distinguished service in his community. As the JC's representative of the Shad Fest Bureau, Dr. Ganji was further honored by the opportunity to serve as its president. through co-chairing the Shad Derby in 1982, 1988, and 2008, as well as his continued involvement today. He hopes to inspire current and future generations to take part in the traditions that make Windsor such an enjoyable place to live. Additionally, he is a longtime member and served as a director of the Windsor Chamber of Commerce, through which he was awarded the Chamber Hallis Award for Exceptional Community Service. Dr. Ganji has also served as president of the Windsor Youth Commission, where he continues to assist in several of their projects. He currently serves on St. Gabriel's School Finance Committee and is on the faculty as a clinical professor in the Department of Orthodontics at the UConn Dental School. He and his wife Valerie have 2 grown children and 6 grandchildren. Dr. Ganji, we are all honored to have you here with us this evening. You continue to pave the way for so many of us in regards to the Shad Derby, and for that we are forever grateful. You are a true inspiration and the epitome of dedication, chivalry, and class. Thank you for all you've done and continue to do to make Windsor a better place.
All right. This year, I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Pastor Ronald Woodard Sr. Reverend Ronald Woodard Sr. was born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut. He graduated from Weaver High School and went on to Delaware State University, where he met his wife, Latasha. He majored in accounting and is now Deputy Director of Judicial Accounting for the state of Connecticut. Reverend Woodard is the founder and pastor of Christ-Centered Church in Hartford, where his mission is building lives on the foundation of Christ. He is also the wide receiver coach in the Windsor High School football team. He has previously coached with the Windsor Giants, Windsor Instructional Basketball League, and Windsor American Little League. He is currently studying theology at the North Connecticut Inspirational College of Theology. Please welcome Pastor Ronald Woodard Sr.
I count this as an honor and a privilege to be here before you to do the invocation as well as leading us in prayer. So I ask that everyone would, just for a moment, because I hear a lot of clanking and I understand that you're ready to eat, but I want to allow us to invoke the presence of the Holy Spirit into this room, as well as we bless the dinner that's being prepared for us. Is that okay? Amen. Let us pray. Most gracious, everlasting Father, we're grateful for this day that you have made. And because you have made it, oh Heavenly Father, we will rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to get here safe and secure, for allowing us to be in this place, and for us to be in your presence. We thank you, oh God, for every child or every person, oh God, who are able to get through the beauty pageant in which we are presenting on today. We thank you, Heavenly Father, that their boldness and their distinctive character and quality that you allowed them to withstand. And may that boldness and distinctive character, allow, Heavenly Father, glorify you in their presence from this day moving forward. We're grateful for their parents, oh God, of being able to, Heavenly Father, to teach them a way in which you desire them to go. We ask, oh Heavenly Father, that the Holy Spirit will dwell and rest within this place, Heavenly Father, and that the food that is being prepared for us may be nourishing to our bodies as you see fit. Lord God, we love you in every way. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
At this time, it is our pleasure to introduce the Mistress of Ceremonies for this evening, Miss Latasha Woodard. Latasha Woodard was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. She grew up in a rough neighborhood and had to overcome many obstacles in her young life. At the age of 14, she moved in with her best friend's family, and because of their love and support, she says, "I am who I am today." Latasha attended Western High School, which is the oldest all-female public high school in the United States. Getting an education was her way out. Her physical education teacher encouraged her to play softball and volleyball. She began playing volleyball and fell in love with the sport. During her tenure at Western, she earned a full volleyball scholarship to attend Delaware State University. Because of her high school PE teacher and coach, she chose to earn a degree in physical education so that she could help someone the way her coach helped her. Latasha graduated in 1997, moved to Connecticut, and has resided in Windsor since 2000. Latasha began her teaching career in Hartford Public Schools in 1999. In 2008, she earned her master's degree in curriculum and instruction from the University of Phoenix. In 2009, she began her tenure at Windsor High School, where she is a health physical education teacher, physical education department liaison, varsity girls volleyball coach, newly appointed freshman girls lacrosse coach, and Sage Park Middle School girls basketball coach. She has helped organize and supervise our students as they have volunteered in our community to earn community service hours. Over the years, Latasha has also participated in Shad Derby parades with various athletic teams of her children and students.
In 2013, Latasha started Warriors Willing to Fight with the Windsor High School varsity girls volleyball team to help raise funds for cancer research. Every October, they dedicate this month to promoting breast cancer awareness and donating those funds to the American Cancer Society. Since its inception, they have raised close to $3,000, all while instilling the value of public service to our young people. Latasha is the wife of Pastor Ronald Woodard Sr. They have been married for 19 years and are the proud parents of 3 children, Ronald Jr., Jerry, and Janet, who have all matriculated in the Windsor Public School system. She is an ordained minister of the Gospel of Christ alongside her husband at their church, Christ-Centered Church in Hartford. Please join me in welcoming an extraordinary and truly inspiring woman, our mistress of ceremonies for this evening, Latasha Woodard.
Good morning, everyone. I know y'all were waiting for it. Some of my students, I say good morning all day, and I know some of my students were wondering if I were going to say it tonight. Good morning. They made me sound good, didn't they? Okay. At this time, it is my pleasure. Oh, that's not me. You didn't flip the page for me. Okay. Sorry. First, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for having me here. Thank you. It is such a blessing and a privilege to be here. I thank you for even considering me. It is a blessing. Thank you so much. So I'm supposed to give a speech, but before I give my speech, I would really like for the young ladies to hear the speech. So I'm going to ask for them to come in first so that they can hear the speech because I prepared it just for them. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce each of our 2018 Shad Derby Queen candidates. Yeah, you can give them a round of applause. They worked hard for it. First, we have Camille McHenry, Miss Tungus Grill. Camille is escorted by Ja Holmes. Yes. Isn't she lovely? Miss Camille McHenry. Next, we'll have Cassidy McDonald, Miss Dom's Broad Street Eatery. Cassidy is escorted by Jonah Apted. And now we have Alyssa Gary. Martial Arts Center. Alyssa is escorted by Zachary Scalia. And now we'll have Olivia McAdams, Miss Union Street Tavern. Olivia is escorted by Marcus Manson. And now we'll have Callie Smith, Miss Minchie's Frozen Yogurt. Callie is escorted by Josh Simons. And now we'll have Sophie Gronstein, Miss Windsor Lions Club. Sophie is escorted by Jonathan Spafford. And now we have Rebecca Romero, Miss Rice Hardware. Rebecca is escorted by Eric Romero. And now we have Bianca Romero, Miss Exchange Club of Windsor. Bianca is escorted by Ricardo Romero. And now we have Kelly Pacoris, Miss Ashley's Distinctive Jewelry and Gifts. Bianca is escorted by Jamie Stoll. We now have Jolly Yu, Miss Nightmare Acres, LLC. Jolly is escorted by Ivan Camido. And now we'll have Rhiannon Kiersnowski, Miss Hairdresser on Fire. Rhiannon is escorted by Benjamin Fraley. We now have Gabriella Lambert, Miss Geisler Supermarket. Gabriella is escorted by Nathan Bailey. We now have Alyssa Horan, Miss Windsor JC's. Alyssa is escorted by Alex Rahman. We now have Alexandra Steckschulte, Miss PC Development Group. Alexandra is escorted by Matthew Blackwood. And our final candidate, Janelle DeRosie, Miss Noon's Quality Plumbing and Heating, LLC. Janelle is escorted by Jeremy Nunes. Let's give one final round of applause for all of our candidates. So ladies, I wrote this speech thinking about you. As a teacher and coach at Windsor High School, I've had the pleasure of teaching, mentoring, and coaching amazing young people, and some of them are here tonight. I am proud and honored to stand before these phenomenal young women who represent the Windsor community with such dignity and class. These young ladies are intelligent, studious, dedicated, passionate, and beautiful. Aren't they beautiful? They're giving us a glimpse of the future, our future. I look at these young ladies and I see leaders, scholars, educators, lawyers, governors, senators, and I even see presidents as I'm looking at you. The possibilities are endless because your passion and your will to achieve and succeed is relentless, and it showed in everything that you did just to get to this point right now. I see young ladies who choose their future while creating their own opportunities. I grew up in Baltimore City, and my childhood wasn't very easy. My family didn't have much. I learned a lot of what not to do from my parents and my friends. I didn't want to get stuck in those circumstances that I was in, so I decided to focus on my future. In order to create change, I had to change my circumstances. I had to make changes within myself. I decided that I wanted more. I wanted better. I had to get out. So I challenged myself to exceed the expectations and the limitations that I placed on myself or that I allowed others to place on me. I decided to take charge of my education, my relationships, and my friendships. I decided to challenge myself to be the first person in my family to go to college. I'm so glad that life's challenges motivated me to challenge myself. I stand here before you today because someone told me no. Someone told me I wasn't good enough. Someone told me I would never make it. I stand here before you today because I challenged myself to prove them wrong. So tonight, ladies, I challenge you to challenge yourself. Use life's moments, every one of them, the successes, the failures, the good times, the not so good times. Use every one of those moments to propel you to your future that you have been designed to fulfill. Challenge yourself to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you or anyone else could even ask or think. How do you do that? I'm so glad you asked. I'll answer that for you. One question, you ask what's next. One declaration, you say bring it on. One promise, then you ask who can I help next? So, the first one, what's next? That can be a scary thing, but don't let fear stop you. Fear can mean two things. One, forget everything and run. Or two, face everything and rise. The choice is yours. You have to choose how you allow the what's next circumstances of life to affect you. By choosing to rise, you begin to see and understand your strengths. Once you embrace your strengths, you will confront your future with a bring it on. When your future comes, that college, that's when you say, bring it on. Career, bring it on. Military, bring it on. Relationships, bring it on. You look and stare at that and say, bring it on, because I can take whatever you bring. Those circumstances will not stop you. Now, after you say bring it on, and after you've conquered that, and now life is looking at you like, okay, bring it, you have to say, who can I help next? Don't forget about the people beside you, the people in this room, and the people around you. You have to remember that is your responsibility to help everybody else. That's how we'll all succeed. I sincerely hope that you accept the challenge because you all are worth every minute of it. Thank you, ladies. Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to present to you the 2018 Shad Derby Queen candidates. So now that you've heard me, ladies, it's time for us to hear from you. Each candidate has prepared an essay in response to the following statement. Discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth and a new understanding of yourself or others. They covered up my paper. Here we go. First, we will hear from Janelle DeRosie, Miss Noon's Quality Plumbing and Heating.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we are supposed to speak of an event in our lives that has changed who we are or sparked a period of personal growth so far in our lives. I'm very proud to tell you that this time in my life for me was this year when I first got my acceptance to college. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in Target in the outdoor games aisle, and the message came through on my phone as I let a little shriek out and jumped up and down. College has always been a dream of mine since I was little. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was older. In fact, that was the least of my concerns. Since a young age, my parents have always emphasized on the fact that college would be best for me. They always told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be as long as I had a bachelor's degree. Although I was excited about the education that I was going to receive in college, I was most excited about having a place that was all my own and finding myself. When I was 4 years old, my parents got divorced. Being 4, I don't really remember much before they went their separate ways. Divorce often has a negative connotation to it. I'm very lucky to have 2 homes and 4 loving parents. Come on, imagine 2 Christmases and 2 birthdays. It's pretty nice. Even with 4 loving parents, one of the things I do remember growing up was packing my bag back and forth to my dad's house. I'm excited that college is going to be the place that's all mine. All of my clothes will be in one place, and I'll get to sleep in the same bed for more than a week at a time. College means so much more to me than just the nursing education that I will receive. It will give me the opportunity to really find out who I am and how I'll make an impact in this world. Without all 4 of my parents working together to push me to apply to college and be the best person that I could be, this period of growth would have never occurred in my life. And I wouldn't be here striving to live up to my best potential. I want to give a special thank you to my wonderful sponsor, Noon's Quality Plumbing and Heating, and please enjoy your evening.
Thank you, Janelle. I know, awkward silence, waiting for the judges. It's okay. I don't have jokes prepared, so I'm just going to stare at you awkwardly. Okay. And next we will hear from Alyssa Horan, Miss Windsor JC.
Good evening, everyone. Beginning at a young age, I was very much interested in being outside rather than sitting in my room. From camping with my family to fishing with my dad, I was the kind of kid who was willing to try almost anything. When I was 11, I learned about karate, and I decided to give that a try. It was something so new to me, and I really enjoyed it. Through participation in karate, I learned 3 rules: respect, self-control, and self-discipline. On the first day of class, I was taught what these 3 rules meant. It wasn't until years later I truly understood the weight that these 3 rules carried. Respect is treating other people the way you like to be treated. Self-discipline is doing the things I know I should do without being told. and self-control is controlling my behavior to fit the situation I am in. During class, these 3 rules didn't have much impact on my day-to-day life. But as the years went on, my passion for karate declined. My parents continued to push me to reach my goal and get my black belt. After 4.5 years, I finally accomplished it. I finally succeeded with the aid of these 3 prominent disciplines. After all the hard work, reaching this achievement is really something I'm proud of and treasure. Karate ended and high school began. All the other kids were finding that one thing they had a drive for and succeeded in, yet I felt as though I was 3 steps behind. I began lacrosse, and this is where I finally felt myself. It was a sport where I finally found my confidence to try my best and push myself the hardest. I consider karate as well as lacrosse to be part of my successes but also my failures. With each failure, I was able to internalize my faults, to nourish the successes to make me the person I am today. I learned to carry confidence no matter where I am, whether it's in the halls of the school, out in public, or on the field. After karate began, I understood the magnitude of being a respectable person who knew how to control myself in all situations. Having the ability to try different sports has encouraged me to respect and appreciate my failures, but also gain strength and confidence in how to handle whatever may come my way. I'd like to thank my sponsors, the Windsor JCs, for letting me be part of this amazing experience. And thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yep, I sat there and didn't plan anything else to say again. It's okay. We should do the theme song to Jeopardy. And now we will hear from Alexandra Stick-Schulte, Miss PC Development Group.
Good evening, everyone. I've been swimming for a long time, and over the years, I've set many goals for myself. This past swim season, my coach thought it would be a good idea to make me, a breaststroker with asthma, swim the 200 IM. The 2 IM is an 8-lap race with 2 laps of butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle. The first time I swam it, my time was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. After seeing me swim at this pace a few times, my mom promised me that if I got my time down to under 3 minutes, we would get another dog. I swam the 2 IM at almost every single meet, and I consistently dropped time throughout the season, but I never got my time down below 3 minutes. Going into our conference championships, my time was 3 minutes and 4 seconds. I hope that this meet, the final meet of my high school swimming career, would be the meet where I finally broke 3 minutes in the 2 IM. When it was time for my event, I swam as hard as I could, and for a second I thought that I had done it, but when I looked up at the scoreboard, my time still read 3:04. At first, I was pretty upset because I really wanted to make the time not only to get the puppy, but to prove to myself that I could do it. I had to pull myself together, though, because my team needed me, and I had 2 more relays plus another individual event to swim. When it was time for me to swim the 100-yard breaststroke, I got back on the block, and I gave it my all despite being disappointed with my 2 IM. I ended up dropping 5 seconds off my time, and I won my heat. Looking back at that meet, I'm still a little sad that I didn't get the time that I wanted, but I learned more from failing to reach my goal than I would have if I achieved it. Failing to reach my goal in the 2 IM made me want to push myself even harder the next time I swam. I'm still really proud of myself for dropping 26 seconds in an event I never thought I would be good at. I didn't know this at the time, but I will have a chance to try and redeem myself this fall when I swim for the George Mason University Club swim team. I'd like to thank my sponsor, PC Development Group, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, Alexandra. You guys are awesome. CNC music. Yes. Thumbs up. And now we will hear from Rhiannon Kiersnowski, Miss Hairdresser on Fire.
During my freshman year, I was kind of a brat. I demanded attention, I believed that I was always right, and I had little tolerance and was definitely more of a tyrant than a leader. However, towards the end of my freshman year, a man came into one of my classes and handed me a pamphlet on something called Air Force Junior ROTC. I have never heard of a program like this and started to consider joining just for the heck of it. I talked to my parents and my grandfather, who I call Peepop because at a very young age, I was unable to say Pop-Pop. My Peepop had served a considerable amount of time in the Air Force as a prop mechanic and eventually retired after 20 years. This caused me to consider the program more and more, and eventually, when course selection came around, I decided to join. One of the instructors of the program, Sergeant Cross, taught me something within my first few days of being in the class that has always stuck with me. He said, to become a leader, you must first learn to be a follower. This saying has guided me through my high school years. Through this motto, I started to talk less and listen more. I continued to grow and became a more disciplined student and a more respectful person. By the end of my junior year, I was still loud and stubborn, but as I was given the position of Deputy Group Commander, I now had to learn how to become a leader. I started off trying to do everything myself, from organizing meetings to cleaning the logistics room. I tried to do it all. But now I've learned to step back because I could no longer afford the time it took to make sure that all the work was being done. Through this program, I've been taught that being a leader isn't about being the best at everything. It's about helping others be their best so that they too can become leaders and they too can have their time to shine. I'd like to thank my sponsor, Hairdresser on Fire, and my friends and family for supporting me through this amazing experience. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Thank you, Gabriella. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my next one. Rhiannon. I had it in my head to say my next, sorry. Thank you, Rhiannon. And now, we will hear from Gabriella Lambert, Miss Geisler Supermarket.
Good evening, everyone. I was 10 years old when I noticed things missing from my room. Childhood collectibles, my allowance, everything was disappearing. My sister would spend hours on end in our shared bathroom, but I never knew why. The door was always shut, the yellow light glaring from beneath it. I was too young to realize that she dropped out of college before her first semester was even over. I thought she just wanted to spend more time with me, even though when she was home, we were never together. Eventually, I began to wonder, was it her that was stealing my things? And if so, why was she doing it? And what was she doing with it? I remember specifically one day she placed her jacket in my lap and asked me to hold it. I absentmindedly searched around the pockets for a piece of gum, but instead I pulled out something different. It was a syringe. My heart dropped and my mind was racing. My sister was using heroin, and at this point she'd been addicted for about a year. I finally figured out where my things were disappearing to. They were feeding her addiction. The scars that she left were permanent, on her arms, her life, and everyone around her. Using drugs was something I never pictured myself doing in life, and hindsight has made me realize that I made the right choice to distance myself from them. I learned about the snowball effect, how small, inconsequential events can escalate into something serious. Having an addict in your family is not for the weak or the faint-hearted. Everyone endures what they do. Mistakes will follow you no matter how hard you try and make them disappear, but you cannot let them define you. There are lessons to be learned in life, and what I've learned from this experience is that actions have consequences. Think before you do. I want to thank my wonderful sponsor, Geisler Supermarket, for this amazing experience, and have a great night.
Thank you, Gabriella. I should start singing. don't know the words. In the bedroom, hotel rooms, we don't care. I know some of the words. Okay, we're ready. Oh, no, we have our next candidate, saved by the... Now we're here from Kelly Procuris, Miss Ashley's Distinctive Jewelry and Gifts.
Good evening, everyone. Douglas High School senior Emma Gonzalez boldly gave a speech in Washington, D.C. 6 minutes and 20 seconds. In a little over 6 minutes, 17 of our friends were taken from us, 15 were injured, and everyone, absolutely everyone, was forever altered. I could never imagine this happening in the Windsor community. The series of events after this tragedy will never be forgotten. I attended that March for Our Life's gun control protest in Washington, D.C. As I turned on Pennsylvania Ave, the crowds were empowering. Reading every sign and listening to all the emotional speeches given by people of all ages made me realize gun violence is everywhere and it affects everyone. Gun violence isn't just on the streets in your hometown. It's in concerts, restaurants, and even schools. When it comes to school shootings, I am very affected by each and every one of them. I am a high school student. I enjoy going to school. I should never have to fear going to school thinking it is my last day on earth. Students and teachers have a right to a safe environment at school. I could never imagine living without my best friends the way other students are all around the world due to gun violence. Of course, everyone is going to have their own opinion on gun laws and gun controls, but I'm here today to say this one protest really changed the way I see the world. I am just one person, but I have never felt so strongly about wanting to make a difference, to make the world a safer place for my nieces and someday my own children. With all the kids around the world in the same position as me, I really believe there can be a change in the laws. I want to be a part of the change, part of the discussion. I would like to give a huge thank you to my sponsor, Ashley's Distinctive Jewelry and Gifts, and have a great night.
And next, we will hear from Jolly You, Miss Nightmare Acres, LLC.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very exciting night. As you know, the Windsor Shad Derby Queen competition is a long process. And with those excellent girls, it is a very competitive and nerve-wracking one as well. I wasn't sure if I'm ready to face the challenge it gave me. But I'm so glad I did not give up at the end. As the Chinese proverb says, the sweeter apple is always on the top of the tree. I have learned that success comes from perseverance and self-confidence. The first time I came to the United States as 13 years old, I faced many challenges you would expect, such as learning English, making friends, taking classes with a language I hardly knew. But after a year, I faced a new challenge that I had not expected. I needed to lose that extra pounds. So running across country seemed like a good idea to me, since I had never run before or doing any physical exercise. How could it be? I just quickly found out how hard it is for someone that had never run before to run a 5K. My heart was beeping and my lungs were gasping for air and legs were trembling so hard that I could barely stand. I begged my coach to let me walk because I just feel like I couldn't do it anymore. And her response was to keep going. She pushed my limit and she yelled to me, "Don't you stop, you're almost there." So I didn't stop without knowing there's still a few miles to go. Ever since, I know that our minds is stronger than we think. We can do anything if we set our minds to. With perseverance, we will make it. It's truly a pleasure to be speaking in front of such a distinguished group, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story with you. And I'd like to give a special thank you to my sponsor, Nightmare Acre, who made this moment possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolly. I could see some of my players saying, yup, she coaches like that. She won't let us stop. I'm not looking at you. And now we will hear from Rebecca Romero, Miss Rice Hardware.
Good evening, everyone. One period in my life that sticks with me like it was yesterday was meeting my nephew for the first time. Let me give you some background. I was 6 years old when I was told that my sister was pregnant. Of course, I was excited. I was going to be an aunt. I spent days trying to figure out what I wanted the little baby to call me. Did I want to be Titi? Did I want to be Tia? I spent so much time talking about how I would be the best aunt to this child. The time comes around that the baby was due. He was supposed to be due in June, but ended up coming a little early. On May 12th, I was given the news that my first nephew had arrived. However, he was premature and born with an illness. I was so young, so I wasn't given much information, and I didn't understand all too well. He was kept in the NICU, which was the grown-up hospital, so I wasn't able to meet him. My mom would show me pictures, but it just wasn't the same. So he was kept in the hospital for 2 months. On July 28th, I turned 7 years old, and this was my birthday, and at this point, he had moved to the Children's Hospital. It was finally the time that I was able to meet my nephew, Adrian. I remember this being one of the best gifts I could ever ask for. I walked into the hospital room, and I could see his tiny body and enormous cheeks, and he was the most precious baby I had ever seen. Even at that age, I knew how much love I had for him. Adrian was born with a rare chromosomal disorder, so his life was a short 2 years and 3 months. However, in this time, I realized how blessed I really was. Even at the age of 7, I recognized that we could not take anything for granted. From the bed you sleep in to your health, I cherish it all. Watching his smile humbled me, knowing that he hadn't had the advantage of a healthy body like I had been born with. It made me feel sad and helpless to know that he wouldn't be able to know any better. It made me feel sad and helpless that he hadn't known any better. Through this time in my life, I really learned to appreciate the love and support from my family even more. It made me realize that that's all I need. Seeing my parents there for my sister and my nephew showed me that how lucky I was to have the family that I have. Every day I live my life thankful for the simple things and humble in all that I have. I live with Adrian, always watching down on me, and thankful for the memories that I cherished with him. With that, I want to give a big thanks to my sponsor, Rice Hardware, and thank you everyone for coming out this evening.
Thank you, Rebecca. And now we will hear from Bianca Romero, Miss Exchange Club of Windsor.
Good evening, friends and family. Today I stand before you to embrace a realization I've come to, not from a specific event or a specific thing, but from a specific person. That person is my 13-year-old brother, David. Take a look around you for a second. Take in all the noises you hear. You hear my voice, you hear the sounds of the silverware clacking, you even hear the nearby whispers in the air. David couldn't when he was born. My brother was born with very little hearing, and no one knew until he was about 2 years old due to a faulty hearing test. Can you imagine living in a silent world? Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, this was David's world. When my parents found out that David couldn't hear, they immediately sought out a solution. He got hearing aids, and as time went on, his hearing got worse to the point that now, without his cochlear implants on, he's deaf. This sounds like a sad story, but in actuality, it's been my biggest learning point. You would think that someone who can't hear without the help of technology would be more reserved into himself. Instead, David is one of the brightest kids you'll ever meet. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here today, but please take my word for it. He is definitely something else. He shows me every day to take whatever situation I was put into and make the best of it. I never take things for granted, even something that seems so small like the ability to hear. We all take hearing for granted if we just don't think about it. But being a big sister to David has taught me so much more. One day he asked me, "How come you can hear and I can't?" I take every blessing I have into account now. Without David, I wouldn't see the life that I see now. And because of him, I can confidently say that no matter what the circumstances I'm in, I can rise above it, just like he has. It's kind of funny how someone younger than me can be my biggest motivator. I'd like to give a special thank you to my sponsor, the Exchange Club of Windsor, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Bianca. Too high, not hitting it. And now we will hear from Callie Smith, Miss Menchie's Frozen Yogurt.
Good evening, everyone. Last year, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder and depression. It felt almost like the end of the world. It was hard for me to get out of bed every morning, never mind trying to get myself motivated enough to go to school, swim practice, or even hang out with my friends. Without anybody to talk to about how I had been feeling, I started to turn to some unhealthy habits in order to cope. School ended and summer came. My family took a trip to visit my aunt, uncle, and younger cousins in Virginia. My little cousin Pip is only 7 years old. She looks up to me and has always told me that she wants to be just like me. I don't get to see her very often, but when I do, I try to be the best possible role model that I can for her. One day we were sitting outside in the grass, and she comes over to me and sits on my lap. She pulls a blade of grass from the ground and starts to blow on it, making whistling sounds. Then she looked down at my arm. She starts to run the blade of grass up and down my arm, asking me, "Callie, what are those lines on your arms from? Are those birthmarks? Because I have them too, see?" I froze. I couldn't move and I couldn't speak. I realized that something had to change, no matter how daunting the task seemed. I took the big first step and I reached out to my mom. And from there I started to get help. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, but I still couldn't work up the courage to open up to my friends about how I had been feeling, not knowing how they would react. To my surprise, rather than turning away or brushing off what I had just told them, they were there to offer me unconditional love and support. Without my closest friends and family, I would not be the person that I am today. What I realized through my journey is that no matter what you're going through, it's okay. It's okay to reach out to those closest to you for help. The most difficult part about learning to cope with my mental illness was overcoming the social stigma that people have around mental health and realizing that I'm not just a stereotype, but a person who has good days and bad days, just like everybody else. I'd like to thank my amazing sponsor, Menchie's Frozen Yogurt, and everybody else who's helped me along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Callie. And now we will hear from Sophie Gronstein, Miss Windsor Lions Club.
Good evening, dear guests. While finding yourself in Windsor, you cannot help but recognize the beautiful old tobacco barns and fields across our town. These icons are a part of Windsor's rich history that many people take for granted and also span hundreds of years. It wasn't until I decided to start picking tobacco for the Hastings family that I realized I had not acknowledged the history, hard work, and dedication behind the old-time traditions of Windsor. While researching what I was getting myself into for my very first official paycheck, I discovered that Native American Indians were growing tobacco before Windsor settlers even arrived. That Windsor has unique soil and humid summers ideal for growing tobacco, and even that Martin Luther King picked tobacco in Connecticut as a youth. My first day as a pigger was an eye-opener. As lunchtime came, all I wanted to do was go home and curl up into a ball. Despite almost giving up before the day was done, I was determined to overcome. The physical labor under the hot sun was intense, and yet I prevailed throughout the summer, no matter the mosquitoes, the sunburn, nor the snakes. I was my very best, and I saw through the hardest days, and by the end of the season, I was one of the last high schoolers still standing. You know, I've babysat and thought changing dirty diapers was hard, but nothing had prepared me for this strenuous work in the fields. As I reflected on my 2-month rite of passage as a Windsor teen, I recognized you can make the day go by simply with just having a positive attitude and a strong work ethic. Without these attributes, you won't be able to move forward. I also learned about the migrant laborers I work directly with and how important they are with helping our economy and how hard they work to make ends meet to provide for their families. This made me very humble and thankful for what I have in life and what my family has provided for me throughout my young 17 years. The work I experienced and witnessed from others has only made me understand that despite the eventual challenges I will face in life, I will be determined to overcome and commit and sacrifice for my own future and the family that I will have one day of my own. Just remember, the difference between try and triumph is just a little umph, by author Marvin Phillips. I would like to thank my amazing sponsor, the Windsor Lions Club, for allowing me to express myself tonight. Thank you and have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Sophie. And now we will hear from Alyssa Gary, Miss Valari's Martial Arts Centers.
Good evening, everyone. When asked to discuss a time that sparked a new understanding of myself or others, a few thoughts came to mind. I thought about the day my father sustained a traumatic brain injury, the passing of a family member, and even the first time I lost in the sparring ring. That one still hurts. And even though those have all impacted me in their own way, it was one simple conversation with a parent at work that impacted me the most. She had an issue with our use of the term, ladies first. Let me explain. As instructors and role models, we teach our martial arts students courtesy, grace, and chivalry. We teach our young men to respect young women. But this karate mom pointed out that we might be teaching our young women an even bigger lesson. She went on to say that soon these young girls may expect to be first in line for everything and have every door held open for them. As she went on, something clicked inside of me, and I made the connection to my own life. Nothing was ever handed to me on a silver platter, and doors won't automatically open for me because I'm a girl. Everything I earned with my own hard work and self-determination was much more rewarding than anything ever handed to me. I want to show the young girls that I inspire to never expect anything from others just because of their gender. That brief ladies first conversation with that parent left such an impact on me that now one of my goals is to show these young ladies how far grit, hard work, and self-determination will get them, while showing boys that they can respect young ladies and still treat them as equal human beings. I would like to thank my amazing sponsors at Valari's for supporting me throughout this event. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you, Alyssa. And now we will hear from Olivia McAdams, Miss Union Street Tavern.
Good evening. 2 years ago, I sat in my room in my nice home in my safe neighborhood in Windsor. I was scrolling through social media when I came across a video of protesters being sprayed with water cannons in below freezing temperatures as they yelled, water, not oil. I had no idea what this was. As I sat in my room, I had opened the floodgates for the fight for Native American rights, and it was just the beginning. The No Dakota Access Pipeline protests were fighting against the construction of a major oil pipeline, stretching from North Dakota to Illinois. The main site of action was the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, which the pipeline ran directly through spiritually sacred sites and their only source of clean drinking water, the Missouri River. As I learned more about the Native fight for their lives, I was faced with a long story of abuse. From mass extinction, forced sterilization, assimilation schools, seizure of their lands, and involuntary migration onto prisoner of war camps, later called reservations, America has disregarded an entire race of people for hundreds of years. You may be wondering how this affects me, or even how this has changed me to who I am today. For me, it all goes back to what Audre Lorde once said. I am not free while any woman is unfree, even if her shackles are very different from my own. The shackles that the Indigenous community have are completely different from my own. Yet I was inspired by protesters, so I began to rally on Solidarity Days, raise awareness in my community about what was happening and true Native history, raise money and send supplies to water protectors on Standing Rock. The video had opened a whole new world for me, and I refused to go back. After viewing the video and seeing the abuse people were going through just to be able to drink clean water and for others to respect their ways of life, I changed from a silent bystander to an activist willing to help remove somebody else's shackles. Thank you. I'd like to extend lots of thanks to my fantastic sponsors at Union Street Tavern. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Olivia. And now we will hear from Camille McHenry, Miss Tunxis Grill.
Good evening, everyone. How important is it to have self-confidence? Well, I'll answer by saying that it's very critical to the personal development of anyone. Self-doubt is one of the easiest pits to fall into, with just one thought and two simple words: I can't. You never realize how many times you say it until your punishment is 10 push-ups every time. Thanks to my coach, I no longer say it. As a runner, believing in yourself is key. Even the best pep talks before a race won't help your performance unless you believe it. When I finally told myself, you got this, it's just like practice, I began to run faster. You know the quote, it starts in here, here being your heart. I take that quote into account for everything that I do. At the end of my junior year, whenever I thought of college, every emotion that I felt, whether it be anxiety, excitement, or fear, came up at once. Several thoughts began to fill my head, but what I clearly remember is the desire to be independent. I realized that college is a different ballpark, and in order to be ready for it, I need to learn how to count on myself. After all, I won't have my parents down the hall to talk to. Now, this is not to say that having confidence in yourself is easily attainable. For some, the process is longer. But I hope that sharing about how I learned to gain confidence will inspire at least one person tonight. Keeping myself on track, even literally on the track, helped me gain confidence. Learning how to tough it out led me to believe that I could handle whatever was dished out on me. I pushed myself with my eyes on the prize being college. Not only was I accepted to all my schools like Cornell, Marist, and Syracuse, but I am proud to say that I will be competing as a D1 collegiate level as well. Whenever I feel the doubt coming on, I remember that I wouldn't be presented this opportunity or given this assignment if I wasn't fully capable of doing it. Now, as a graduating senior, I am confident in myself and ready for college. I have changed from being my biggest critic to my biggest supporter. When I decided to run for Shad, I saw it as an opportunity to use my newfound independence. None of my best friends were with me through the process, which would have discouraged me in the past, but has pushed me today. I want to thank my sponsor, Tungus Grill, and the town of Windsor for providing me with this wonderful opportunity. Have a nice night.
Thank you, Camille. And now we will hear from our final candidate, Cassidy McDonald, Miss Dom's Broad Street Eatery.
Good evening, everyone. Soccer has been a part of my life for 14 years. Basically, from when I could walk, I always seemed to have a ball at my feet, or as it would turn out, my hands. I fell in love with the sport at a very young age, and I was certain that's all I ever wanted to do in life, and that's all I did, 24/7. It taught me so many life lessons and introduced me to people who will remain in my life forever. Being a goalie was who I was, and I was so proud of it. This position also came with a lot of pressure, and at times I handled the pressure very well, and there were times I didn't. This position also came with responsibility, and I had to teach myself not to blame myself and tell myself that it isn't always my fault, even if it feels like it. In my last season with my premier team, we made it to the State Cup Finals, a major accomplishment that we've been striving for so many years. Literally, blood, sweat, and tears went into this journey. Soccer as a whole taught me a lot about myself and others, but this game was a game changer for my mindset. We went in thinking and expecting to win because we were on an undefeated streak. Then fate had a different idea and the results said otherwise. We lost 3-0, and it was our worst game we ever played. We had no communication and looked like we had never touched a ball in our lives. This taught me a valuable lesson that not only does nothing ever get handed to you, but if you're not going to put 100% into anything, why start at all? Everything you do in life deserves 100%, whether it be a game, a friendship, or even school. This game taught me a lot about myself because at the end of the game, when I was bawling my eyes out, my coach looked at me and said, "We did not have our best game. We cannot expect our best outcome." I apply that to my day-to-day life now. Even though at the moment soccer is not in my future, I will carry the lessons it taught me for a lifetime. I would like to thank my amazing sponsor, Dom's Eatery, and the town of Windsor for this wonderful opportunity to be part of this town tradition. Thank you and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Cassidy. Thank you, ladies, for such beautiful speeches. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to our candidates and judges. The judges will now leave the room to determine the winners. Yes, let's clap it up for our judges. We know this is not an easy competition. Listening to these ladies, we know they're going to have to make a tough decision. Can we have a round of applause as our candidates re-enter? Am I saying names? Okay, we have Camille McHenry, Cassidy McDonald. I know I don't have a list for this. Alyssa Gary. I'm remembering my names. Olivia McAdams. I think I'm gonna get it. Callie Smith. Sophie Sophie Gronstein, Rebecca Romero, Bianca Romero, Kelly Pacuris, Jolly Yu, Rhiannon Kiersnowski, had to read that one. Gabriella Lambert, Alyssa Horan, Alexandra Steck-Schulte, and Janelle DeRosie. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, our 2018 Shad Derby Queen candidates. And now, please join me in welcoming Cassie Okeke, the 2017 Shad Derby Queen. Cassie is a Windsor High School graduate of the class of 2017. She recently completed a successful freshman year at Quinnipiac University, where Cassie is studying international business and finance in their accelerated 3+1 BS MBA program. In addition to her studies, she works as a tour guide and student ambassador, as well as an interviewer at the Quinnipiac Polling Institute, event coordinator for Habitat for Humanity, and representative for her area council on Residence Hall Council. She volunteered at Quinnipiac GAME Forum in New York City, the largest student-run finance forum in the world. She participates in International Business Society, Investment Club, Computer Information System Society, Black Student Union, and African Caribbean Student Union, and has managed to maintain her place, all doing it on the Dean's List this year. We gotta get some snaps for that. Next year, she will be traveling to the Dominican Republic for a global solidarity trip. But this summer, you might run into Cassie at Lily's Soul Food in Windsor. And she was just promoted to supervisor? Yes. Congratulations. She is thankful for all that she learned as a Shad Derby candidate and will be forever proud to have served as the 2017 Queen. She wishes all the best to all the candidates in all that they do, both now and in their individual journeys. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Cassie Okeke, Shad Derby Queen 2017. Good evening. Thank you so much to the Shad Derby Committee and all of you who have come to see these beautiful young women today. Each person standing here is their own individual. Windsor has shaped each and every one of you to be a leader and a role model in this ever-changing world. I ask that all of you continue to uplift each other in all of your successes. Support and encouragement of one another is essential to appreciate the uniqueness of you all. It is your job, it is my job, it is our job to give a voice to those who need it. As women, we are often pitted against each other for all the wrong reasons. It is time for us to celebrate one another. You are defined by many different attributes, not just one. Your actions and how you speak when you think no one is listening represents your true colors. Value your time with each other. As you all venture out to the world, understand that everywhere is not like home. At Quinnipiac, I am the only student from Windsor, Many of the faces, clothes, attitudes, and ideals are all the same. Sometimes I feel like I stick out like a sore thumb. Appreciate the diversity of mind, culture, and color you have here. Not everyone will see things from your point of view, and that is absolutely okay. What really counts is staying true to yourself when the people around you are blind to others who are not like them. Thank you. Thank you, Cassie. Whew, here we go. I'd like to introduce and welcome up the official auditor for the 2018 Shad Derby, Timothy Carmen.
Good evening. In my hand, I have the results of the 2018 Shad Derby. The Mary Ellen Messina Award, the Vince Scully Memorial Award, Miss Congeniality, Second Princess, First Princess, Princess Royale, and the Queen. As the auditor of the Shad Derby, my job has been to remain independent of the judges and the contestants throughout the competition, tabulate the judges' score after each event, and present the winner to the MC at tonight's event. I'm grateful that the committee has asked me back again this year, as it's a privilege to listen to these 15 young women talk about their diverse talents, backgrounds, and experiences. Every year, I take away something from what the contestants share, and it helps me to reflect on my own life. Realizing that I'm what stands between all of you and the winners being announced, I want to take just a few minutes and share with you how these awards are determined. As I mentioned, 5 designations will be awarded: Miss Congeniality, Second Princess, First Princess, Princess Royale, and your Queen. And 2 special awards, the Mary Ellen Messina Award and Vince Scully Award. The Mary Ellen Messina Award is determined by the judges based on an essay written by each of the contestants. Each judge looks at the content of the essay and how well each lady expressed herself and her community service involvement. The Vince Scully Award, a Memorial Award, is given to the contestant who demonstrated their support and involvement throughout this year's Shad Derby events and most closely encapsulated the spirit and dedication Vince had for this timeless tradition. Miss Congeniality is awarded to the contestant who received the most number of votes from among her peers. Each of the contestants was asked to cast 1 vote on who they believed was most deserving of the title Miss Congeniality. The young lady with the most votes will be honored as the favorite among her peers. And the winner of Miss Congeniality is going to be announced in a few minutes. You know, I do that every year and it still seems to work. The next 4 honors are awarded to the top 4 ladies who have received the highest number of votes from the judges. The scores are comprised of 3 judges' votes over 3 separate nights, this being the final night. I want to take you back to a night in early March. The contestants met the judges for the first time and were asked to deliver a 1-minute speech about themselves and their interests. We heard about their love for swimming, softball, Junior Air Force ROTC, dogs, internal design, poetry, TV production, art, fashion, karate, horseback riding, lacrosse. They spoke of teaching swimming lessons, helping out with Special Olympics, overcoming sports injuries, learning to speak English, being certified in CPR, picking tobacco, raising awareness for Native Americans, and teaching kids to raise bees. And most of all, we heard about their support system. Many of you in the room here tonight. These speeches introduced these young ladies as they are and proved to the judges that this would be another difficult year. This round comprised 15% of the contestants' overall score and was based on the presentation of the speech, their poise, and their appearance. In early April, after a snow delay, which I'm sure many of us were impacted by snow this year, the second round kicked off at the Windsor Marriott, right here, which comprised 60% of the contestants' overall score. Each contestant met individually with the panel of judges for a 10 to 15 minute question and answer session. Each lady was asked 4 questions. First, recently teens have joined together to inspire national dialogue for change. How have you seen teenagers in Windsor unite to make your community better? Second, how does your social media presence positively or negatively affect your education and your career prospects? Third, in the wake of school shootings, do you think it's a good idea to arm teachers? And finally, when is a time that you have been kind to or stood up for someone in need? And when has someone stood up for you? How would you have answered these questions? Would you have talked about standing up for inequality, participating in rallies for school safety, being an advocate against bullying, petitioning to change the rules because they unfairly impacted one student, creating a kindness PSA to tell people they're beautiful, pray around a flagpole in front of the school, be an advocate for a friend, an ear for a friend, a safe space for a friend, or a hiding place for a friend to escape to and be who they really are? Would you have said those things? Because they did. If you think about your extracurricular activities, could you talk about working at food banks, raising money for cancer, educating people about Native Americans, using your passion of karate to give younger kids confidence, helping out at UConn Health Center, using social media to connect with people around the globe, working to reduce animal abuse, spreading awareness, and being an advocate against child sex trafficking? They did. You know, throughout these events, I always write down simple phrases that they use that stand out to me. And I think these phrases summarize who they are as a collective group. I'm tough as nails. Give your all, give 100% or even more. My home is in the sky. I would rather have a series of oh wells than a series of what ifs. I went from being the little girl in lessons to being the one that teaches them. I'm no delicate flower. I try not to get involved in all the drama. Just because we don't look alike doesn't mean we're not family. And one that I liked, I'm the girl that hasn't fit in, doesn't fit in, and in the future won't fit in. But that's okay. Wow. All these ladies opened up their lives and told their story, allowing the judges to get another glimmer into who they are. Each judge then scored based on community and school involvement, outside interest, knowledge of current events, appearance, poise, personality, and attitude. Finally, the culmination of all the judging occurred this evening. Each contestant was asked to write an essay and present it here tonight, as you heard. The judges have cast their final vote based on the essay, the contestants' poise, and their appearance. This is the remaining 25% of their overall score. As you can see tonight, and we've learned more about this future generation. As we've heard in their speeches, and as the judges and I have heard throughout the competition, these young ladies have stories that we can all learn from. We should all be proud of them and proud of the many people in this room whose support and encouragement has helped to mold them into the people they are today. To have programs like this for over 50 years and to build a tradition that is so ingrained in the community that young girls look to this night in anticipation and excitement for years and hope that one day they can stand where all of you are standing right now. It's unique, but it's wonderful. To have a community full of businesses and organizations that help to showcase the talent of residents is unfortunately not too common. So I want to thank you all for supporting the Shad Derby and supporting these young women. You know, one day my kids asked me if something was free, and of course I said nothing's free. But of course they had to challenge me, and they said, well, rain is free, and air is free. And my daughter said, I think sometimes gluten's free. And that may be a good list. But one thing that I've realized that's also free is who we are and who we choose to be. Each of these young women are free to be themselves, and we have heard what they can accomplish with that. Seeing what this generation has done with the free gift of being you, it gives me hope for the future of our town, of our state, and of our great country. Thank you all, and I'll now turn it back over so that we can hear who our winners are tonight.
Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Carmen. Now I'd like to invite Kristen Hoffman and Anthony Neary back to the podium to present the Vincent Scully Memorial Award. This Community Service Award is named in honor for Vincent Scully, longtime Windsor resident, business owner, past festival chair, and 30-year sponsor of Shad Derby Queens candidates. It is awarded to the candidate who obtains the largest number of participants for the Shad Derby Bowling fundraiser on March 19th, in keeping with Mr. Scully's drive and ambition to always strive for excellence.
The winner of the Vincent Scully Award is Alyssa Gary.
Congratulations, Alyssa. I would like to welcome Mary DeHaze and Bunny Lewis to present the Windsor Junior Women's Club Mary Ellen Messina Award.
Each year at the Coronation Ball, the Windsor Junior Women's Club honors a candidate in the Shad Derby Queens competition. We bestow this Community Involvement Award to the candidate who best exemplifies a great regard for involvement in the Windsor community. In 1969, Mary Ellen Messina spearheaded the charter group of Windsor juniors on a path of service, fundraising, and community awareness. Her contributions to the people of Windsor illustrated a deep commitment to community and enhanced the quality of life in our town. Windsor juniors continued to keep her sense of community alive by bestowing this award in her memory. The winner of the Mary Ellen Messina Award is
Callie Smith.
Congratulations, Callie. The Shad Derby tradition is kept alive through generous donations from many local businesses. These wonderful contributors are listed in the Coronation Ball program. It is due to the generosity of these supporters and each of the candidate sponsors that we are able to present the 2018 Shad Derby Queen and her court wonderful gifts and awards. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Congeniality. Miss Congeniality is an award that is selected by the candidates themselves. The 2000 Shad Derby Miss Congeniality is Miss Gabriella Lambert. Congratulations, Gabby. Second princess. The second princess will receive a beautifully engraved pewter bowl in addition to her Shad Derby award. The 2018 Shad Derby second princess is Miss Janelle DeRosie. Congratulations, Janelle. First princess. The first princess will receive a beautifully engraved pewter bowl in addition to her Shad Derby award. The 2018 Shad Derby first princess is Miss Jolly Yu. Congratulations, Jolly. Getting closer, ladies. Princess Royale. The Princess Royale will receive a beautifully engraved pewter bowl in addition to her Shad Derby award. The 2018 Princess Royale is Miss Alyssa Gary. Congratulations, Alyssa. The 2018 Shad Derby Queen will receive a Shad Derby award, a beautifully engraved pewter bowl, and a beautiful tiara donated by Ashley's Distinctive Jewelry and Gifts, courtesy of Jewelers of America, Inc. The 2018 Shad Derby Queen is Miss Camille McHenry. Really? Can you shut up? Can you stop? No, I'm not sorry. Your 2018 Shad Derby Queen. Please remain seated while our Queen's parents and sponsor come to the stage. Afterwards, you will all be invited to share in the celebration. Once again, congratulations to Ms. Camille McHenry, 2018 Shad Derby Queen, and her court. Camille, go out. Go out. Where's your family? Where's your family? Walk out and meet your family. Will Camille's family come up and join her? And her sponsors, please join her as well. On behalf of the Windsor Junior Women's Club Thank you all for coming, and please enjoy the dancing, which will be available until the event ends at midnight. Thank you all.